Okay, so this is second day of doing literal equations, and they get a little trickier, so you really have to watch your steps. If you remember SADMAP, that's the order we're going to go on whenever we're solving these, then you should be okay. So I'm going to start with number 5, okay? They want me to solve with W, solve for W. So if you look at where W is, there's a couple of things standing in its way. W is being added to 2L, notice addition, and being multiplied by 2. Well, SADMAP tells me that I need to take care of any adding and subtracting. So what's the opposite of positive 2L? Minus 2L to both sides. Okay? Now, I have no way of knowing what P minus 2L is numerically, so we're just going to write it. Equals, the 2L's cancel, and I have 2W. Now, W is not by itself yet because it's being multiplied by 2. So I need to, the inverse of multiplication is to divide by 2 to both sides. Okay? So it's totally fine if you leave it P minus 2L divided by 2 equals W. That's totally fine. But you could see this split up. Okay? You could see where they're going to divide by 2 to each piece. So they could do P over 2 minus 2L over 2. All I've literally done is the numerator, those two pieces are being divided by 2, equals W. And then they would simplify here because 2 over 2 cancels, so it would just be minus L. Little tricky there. It's probably not the best way to start out this notes, but let's keep going. Number 6, they want me to solve for B, okay? If you look at B, B is being multiplied by 1/2 and H. So normally we would divide because the inverse of multiplication is division. So with this one though, it's a little tricky because of that fraction. So think about it. How have we gotten rid of fractions in the past? Dividing by fraction is the same thing by multiplying by the reciprocal, which is 2 over 1. So 2 over 1 is the same thing as 2. So 2 times A is 2A. Equals, by multiplying by 2, I just got rid of the fraction on this side, and I have BH. Now, to get B by itself, right now it's being multiplied by H, so the inverse of multiplication is division, and I'm going to divide by what I'm trying to separate from B. And over here, I have no idea what 2A over H is, so 2A over H equals B because the H's cancel. Okay, number 7. They want me to get L by itself, okay? So let's talk about what's happening to L. L is right here. And right now, it's being multiplied by pi r and added pi r squared. So remember SADMAP, I need to take care of any subtraction and addition. So I'm going to take care of this addition by the inverse, which means subtract by pi r squared. And you can go ahead and subtract by the whole piece of junk, okay? To both sides. So I don't know what s minus pi r squared is, so I'm just going to write s minus pi r squared. Makes it super easy. Divide by, or equals, sorry. I have pi rl still there because the pi r squareds cancel. Now, to get L by itself, right now it's being multiplied, so the inverse of multiplication is to divide by pi r. Divide by pi r, okay? So right here, s minus pi r squared divided by pi r equals L because pi r's cancel on that side. You could also see this written as s over pi r minus pi r squared over pi r. Just because they like to separate it into two fractions, so you could see it written either way. But if you notice right here, it could simplify to the pi's canceling and one of the r's going away. So it would just be minus r. So a little tricky there. Number 8, they want me to get W by itself. Okay, so if you look at what's happening with W, this is the exception to our SADMAP rule, and let me explain why. If I look at W, W is being divided by M and subtracting 10E. Normally, we would take care of that subtraction. But if you look at that dividing by M, it is underneath the subtraction problem. So that takes precedent. We're going to take care of the division in this case. And the opposite or the inverse of dividing by m is to multiply by m to both sides. So m times s, I have no idea, so we're going to write m times s, equals, since these m's cancel, I've now opened it up to just a subtraction problem. Now to get w by itself, the inverse of subtracting is to add, and I'm just going to add the whole piece, plus 10e. ms plus 10e, I have no idea, so we're just going to write it. ms plus 10e equals w, because those 10e's canceled. Okay, so keep that in mind as we're following. Just follow SADMET backwards unless there's a special case, but we'll go over it. And let's get started. So on the back, number 10, they want me to solve for h. I think we would have literally done this at the front. So refer back to number 6. We're going to skip number 10. Number 11, v equals 1/3 bh, and they want me to solve for b. Right now, b is being multiplied by 1/3 and h. The inverse of multiplication is division. And I would normally divide by this fraction, but to divide by a fraction is the same thing as multiplying by the reciprocal. And the reciprocal of 1/3 is 3/1, or 3. So 3 times v is 3v equals, I've gotten rid of that fraction, bh. Now I have b times h, and the inverse of multiplication is division, so I'm going to divide by what I'm trying to move, which is the h. 3v divided by h, I have no idea, so we're going to write 3v divided by h equals b, because the h's cancel. Number 12, they want me to solve for m. Right now, m is being multiplied by v squared and divided by 2. SADMEP technically tells me to take care of division before multiplication. So the inverse of dividing by 2 is to multiply by 2. 2 times k is 2k equals, those 2's cancel and it opens up mv squared. Now I can take care of the multiplication. The inverse of multiplying is to divide by v squared. So 2k divided by v squared equals, mv squareds cancel, equals m. Number 13, okay? Take number 12 into consideration as we're doing 13. They want me to solve for b. b tells me b is being added to c and divided by d. Normally, we would take care of subtracting and addition and adding, but that division is underneath the addition problem, so I need to take care of the division first. The inverse of dividing by d is to multiply by d. So I have dA, because d times a, equals, the d's cancel, and I have b plus c. The inverse of adding c is to subtract c. Now dA minus c, I have no idea, so we're literally just going to write dA minus c equals, the c's cancel, equals b. Number 14, they want me to solve for w. Well, right now, w is being multiplied by 2 and added to L. I have to take care of any subtraction or addition first. So I'm going, what's the opposite of positive 2L? Minus 2L. P minus 2L, no idea, so I write it. Equals, the 2L's cancel, and I have 2W. W is not by itself yet until I take care of that multiplication, and the inverse of multiplication is to divide by 2. So P minus 2L divided by 2 equals W. And they could separate this into two fractions, P over 2 minus 2L over 2, which means those 2's would cancel. So they could simplify it. Number 15, they want me to solve for y. Well, right now, y is being multiplied by b and adding x. So SADMEP tells me to take care of any subtraction and addition. So what's the opposite of negative, or what's opposite of positive ax? Minus ax to both sides. So the ax's cancel. I have by equals c minus ax. I just write it just like that. To get y by itself, I'm going to divide by b to both sides. So y because the b's cancel, equals c minus ax divided by b. And they could split this up into two fractions, c over b minus ax over b. You could see it that way. Number 16, they want me to solve for x. Right now, x is being multiplied by m and adding b. So I'm going to take care of any subtraction and addition. The opposite of adding b is to subtract b to both sides. So I have y minus b equals mx. And right now it's being multiplied, so I need to divide by what I'm trying to move. So I'm going to divide by m. So I have y minus b over m equals x. And they could split this up into two fractions. Y over m minus b over m means the same thing. Number 17, they want me to solve for t. Well, right now, t is being multiplied by pr and adding p. So SADMEP tells me I take care of subtraction and addition first. The opposite of positive p is negative p, or minus p. I have a minus p equals prt. And now t is being multiplied by pr, so multiplication, the inverse is divide by pr to both sides. So a minus p over pr equals t. And they could write this as two fractions, a over pr minus p over pr, which means the p's would cancel on that side, so you could see it written either way. Number 18, they want me to solve for a. So right here is one of those also special occasions where SADMEP is in the wrong order. Let me explain why. I do see adding 1. Normally I would take care of adding 1, but because of the parentheses, I have to take care of the multiplication. And the inverse of multiplying is to divide by n. So I have s over n equals, that opens up the parentheses to a plus 1. The inverse of adding 1 is to subtract 1. Okay, so s over n minus 1 equals a. Only two more. If I look at number 19, they want me to solve for f. This kind of goes with number 18. I cannot add 32 until I get rid of the parentheses and the multiplication outside the parentheses. So how do I get rid of this fraction? Remember, when I would normally divide by 5/9, but dividing by a fraction is the same thing as flipping it and multiplying. So I'm going to multiply both sides by 9 over 5. 9 over 5c equals, the fraction cancels and it opens up the parentheses to f minus 32. The inverse of subtracting 32 is to add 32 to both sides. So all I do is write this, 9/5 c plus 32 equals f. 32's cancel. Last but not least, they want me to solve for b1, okay? Normally, I would subtract b2, but since the parentheses are there, SADMEP kind of goes out the window. So if I look at 1/2 h, how do I get rid of the 1/2? I normally would divide by 1/2, but since I divide by a fraction, it means flip it and multiply. So 2 over 1 times a is 2a equals, I still have this h here because we haven't gotten rid of that yet. Now I see multiplication, so I'm going to divide by h. 2a over h equals, h's open up b1 plus b2. Now to solve for b1, I'm going to subtract b2. Literally, I'm just going to rewrite this. 2a over h minus b2 equals b1. Doozy.